50,000 years ago, your body already knew exactly what to do to survive. Today, that same body is sitting on a couch, eating a donut, afraid of being left alone, and unable to sleep in total silence. And the strangest part is, you never chose any of it. Picture, for a moment, a small group of ancient humans preparing to sleep inside a cave. The fire crackles low, someone is still on watch, and all around, in the total darkness, shadows shift between the bushes. Every sound, every silence, every decision that group made in that moment was, over thousands of generations, slowly carved into the human body. And yet, most of us live today without realizing we still carry those ancient instructions, hidden inside the most ordinary habits. But here's the strangest part. These instincts never disappeared. They just changed clothes. The detail almost no one notices is that, while the world has changed radically over the last 200 years, the human brain is still running. Basically, the same software designed for the savanna, the cave, group survival. To understand how this happened, you need to imagine 8 different instincts, each with a clear ancestral origin, and each one showing up today in a way you probably never connected to the past. But this story didn't start the way it looks. The first instinct is simple, but profound: fear of the dark. Go back with me to a world without artificial light, without flashlights, without a glowing phone next to the bed. For early humans, darkness wasn't just uncomfortable, it was statistically dangerous. Nocturnal predators, unstable terrain, falls, sudden attacks, all of it hid inside the lack of vision. A human who felt fear of the dark, and because of that stayed more alert, closer to the group, closer to the fire, had a far better chance of survival than one who wandered carelessly into the night. That fear wasn't irrational. It was extremely functional. And it's still alive inside you today, even though your house now has a light switch on every wall. This detail seems small, but it changed everything. When a modern child asks to leave the hallway light on, or when an adult feels a shiver walking into an unfamiliar dark room, that's not weakness. It's evolutionary memory, activating an alarm system built for a world that no longer exists, but one your body still believes is out there. If you enjoy uncovering the hidden stories behind humanity's most ordinary behaviors, this is exactly the kind of content this channel exists to explore, so it might be worth subscribing before we continue. The second instinct might be the most personal of all: the uncontrollable craving for sugar and fat. Today, it looks like nothing more than a lack of discipline, a silly indulgence, something to feel guilty about or joke around. But on the savanna, calories were extremely scarce. Ripe fruit, honey, animal fat, all of it represented concentrated, rare, vital energy, especially during winter or prolonged scarcity. A brain that felt intense pleasure upon finding those energy sources had a massive evolutionary advantage. It guaranteed the body would take full advantage of every caloric opportunity, because the next one might not come for days or weeks. But that still doesn't explain everything. Because today, that same reward mechanism, built for a world of scarcity, is surrounded by supermarkets, fast food, and ultra-processed snacks available 24 hours a day. The brain still says, enjoy it now, there might not be a later. Except now there's no uncertain later anymore. Research in neuroscience shows that sugar and fat activate the same dopamine circuits associated with other forms of intense reward, because, evolutionarily, they really were survival rewards. The problem isn't that your body is weak. It's that your body is perfectly calibrated for a world that no longer exists. The third instinct shows up, perhaps, in its most painful form: social anxiety. And here the past starts bleeding into modern life in a particularly cruel way. In small ancestral groups, being accepted by the tribe wasn't a matter of self-esteem, it was a matter of life or death. A human excluded from the group lost access to collective protection, shared food, and rotating night watch. Social rejection, in that context, had consequences almost as severe as being attacked by a predator. That's why, even today, situations involving social judgment, like public speaking, being ignored in a conversation, or noticing someone roll their eyes at you, trigger bodily reactions nearly identical to real physical danger: racing heart, sweaty palms, the urge to flee. Studies in social neuroscience show that the pain of social exclusion activates brain regions very close to those that process physical pain. That's not emotional exaggeration. It's the body treating rejection as a threat of extinction, because, for almost all of human history, that's exactly what it was. The fourth instinct is more subtle, but it's in almost everything you do: the habit loop. Early humans depended heavily on predictable routines to survive. Knowing where to find water, what time to hunt, which path to avoid because of predators, all of it had to be repeated and memorized, because constant improvisation in a hostile environment was extremely risky. The human brain then developed a powerful automation system. After repeating a behavior a few times, it stops requiring conscious thought and turns into autopilot. There was just one problem. That same system, built for survival routines, doesn't distinguish between a useful habit and a destructive one. It simply reinforces whatever gets repeated. That's why checking your phone over and over, even without reason, or following the exact same sequence before bed, triggers a sense of comfort and even anxiety when interrupted. The same mechanism that helped your ancestors survive can today also trap you inside behaviors that aren't always good for you. The fifth instinct is almost invisible until you pay attention to it: discomfort with total silence. In ancestral environments, complete silence rarely meant peace. It usually meant the absence of sensory information in a world full of predators, where picking up on sounds was essential to detect danger in time. A sudden silence, without the normal chirping of insects or birds, could mean something large and dangerous was approaching. The human brain learned, then, to associate excessive silence with alertness, not relaxation. Here's the most surprising part. Even in completely safe modern environments, many people feel an unexplainable discomfort inside overly quiet rooms. And that's why they turn on the TV, play a podcast in the background, or prefer sleeping with some kind of white noise. This isn't technological dependence. It's, in part, a direct echo of an ancient surveillance system that hasn't gotten the memo that the danger out there has dropped dramatically. The sixth instinct is exactly where your original idea fits perfectly: the human need for ritual and faith. Throughout history, in virtually every known culture, humans developed rituals, beliefs, prayers, and spiritual practices. This wasn't isolated cultural coincidence, randomly repeated in different parts of the planet. It's a pattern so universal that it points to a deep psychological function. Facing an unpredictable, dangerous world full of uncontrollable events, like disease, sudden death, storms, and famine, rituals offered something extremely valuable: a sense of control. Praying before a hunt, performing a ritual before a storm, believing in spirits that explain the unexplainable, all of it helped reduce anxiety in the face of chaos, even without changing the actual outcome of events. Anthropological studies show that communities exposed to more unpredictable and dangerous environments tend to develop more elaborate and frequent rituals, precisely because the psychological function of ritual increases alongside uncertainty. And this is where the past meets you in a way you may never have noticed. Even people who today consider themselves completely non-religious still create small personal rituals, like a fixed routine before bed, a lucky ritual before an interview, or small superstitions that seem silly but help ease anxiety in the face of the unknown. Ancient faith and the modern habit of always doing it the same way so it works out are born from exactly the same psychological need. The seventh instinct is almost constant in modern life, even though it's rarely named: social status comparison. In small ancestral groups, social standing determined access to resources, reproductive partners, and protection. Constantly assessing where you stood in the group's hierarchy, who had more strength, more skill, or more recognition, wasn't vanity. It was a survival tool that helped calculate social risks and opportunities. Today, that same comparison system runs continuously on social media, at work, among friends, observing who seems more successful, more attractive, happier. The problem is that, on the savanna, you compared yourself to 20 or 30 people at most. Today, your brain tries to process comparisons with thousands of people through a screen, a number of comparisons it was never designed to handle. The result is a constant feeling of being behind, even when, objectively, your life is going well. The eighth and final instinct closes the circle exactly where the story began: the fear of being alone, especially while sleeping. Sleep was, for early humans, the moment of greatest absolute vulnerability. Without vision, without quick reaction, without active defense, sleeping alone meant extreme risk of attack or abandonment. That's why ancient groups slept close together, in rotating watch shifts, forming a constant network of mutual protection through the night. Today, this shows up as discomfort sleeping in a new, unfamiliar place, in the anxiety of children who don't want to sleep alone, or even in the unexplainable relief an adult feels just knowing someone else is home, even while sleeping in separate rooms. The modern world changed fast, but the body and brain still carry the old scars, hidden inside what looks like simple personal preference. These 8 instincts, together, reveal something bigger than any one of them alone. Each one was, at some point in human history, an extremely efficient survival tool. But the world changed in decades, while the human brain continues evolving on a scale of thousands of generations. This gap between the speed of cultural change and the slowness of biological evolution is what researchers call evolutionary mismatch. And it's exactly what explains why so many modern behaviors seem irrational at first glance, but actually make perfect sense when seen through the eyes of whoever created them. The consequence is that many people go through life blaming themselves for feeling fear, anxiety, sugar cravings, discomfort in silence, or the need for ritual, thinking it's personal weakness or a flaw in character. But maybe the truth is exactly the opposite. Maybe these behaviors are proof that your body is doing exactly what it was programmed to do, just inside a completely different scenario than the one it was designed for. The deepest truth hidden inside this list of 8 instincts is that you are not broken. You are, in fact, perfectly functional according to the rules of a world that no longer exists. Your body keeps reacting as if it were still on the savanna, in the cave, around the fire, waiting for sunrise alongside other people. And maybe, by recognizing that, you can look at your own fears, habits, and discomforts with a little more understanding and a little less judgment. The next time you feel an unexplainable craving for sugar, discomfort in a silence that feels too deep, or simply the strange need to repeat a small ritual before something important, remember that you're not alone in that feeling. Thousands of entire generations are quietly living inside you, still trying to make sure you survive until morning.